Hey, this is Willem interviewing Urban Scout, and I know you had a few too many dandelion fritters, and you got something brewing down there.
Yeah, diarrhea actually. I feel like I'm gonna have diarrhea.
So we'll try and cut this, keep it tight. All right, we'll
If
keep
I
it
get
tight.
up to go in the
I,
middle,
I
you'll
mean that on
know.
many
Yes, yes, okay.
So anyway, but I want to talk to you about E Prime because both of us are big fans of E Prime. We know E Prime is English
Big
without the
fan.
verb to be, and you use it because it encourages you on long lines of more honesty and more clarity in theory. And certainly, I've discovered that to be so. And I've seen your writing change.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like my writing's changed a lot since I've been writing for about a year now in E Prime, and there are definitely strengths and also weaknesses. Uh, I have reached a few points right now that I don't, a few hurdles that I don't quite know how to get over because I don't understand the structure of the sentences well enough to figure out a way around
Right.
the verb to be. So I end up uh, tending to use these sort of half-assed
Right.
things where I use like the words involves or feels or
Right. Right.
seems like way too much. Involves definitely I used so much that I made a promise to myself that I'd never use that word
Right.
again,
Right.
unless it's actually relevant. And I have had a few points where it felt relevant to me, but overall, I feel like it's changed my writing. But recently, I did read some stuff that I wrote. I wrote a while ago, a couple of years ago, and it was I liked the feel of that writing a lot more than I like the feel of how I see the E prime and stuff that I've been writing in for a
Oh,
year. So it's
interesting.
made me second guess
So you're
whether or
saying
not.
pre E Prime, this is juicy and good, and post E Prime is like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like my pre E prime writing had like I think more soul to it.
Mm,
It had more kind of depth, and I feel like with the E prime writing, it doesn't like take mm, the reader where I want the reader to go because it's just sort of like unfamiliar. I mean, not to say that on some level E prime has made my writing a lot better, and on another level, I feel like it's taken away a lot of
yeah,
the humanity out of it in a way, which is weird because the whole
right,
point of E prime is
right.
making it more present a better perception of reality, and you'd think that that would like cut to the heart of something,
Right.
but I feel like maybe writing in B English or regular English, I was able to do that a lot more just because it's my native tongue,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so I know how to maneuver it in a way, even with all of the
Right.
clunkiness of B English, in a way of that actually like gets to the heart of writing. Whereas the E prime stuff that I write of sounds better in some ways, but also sounds kind of empty in a lot of other ways.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, absolutely, because I struggle with the same stuff, the involved stuff, and I've read your blog, and I actually noticed, like, you'll say such and such signifies such and such, and I know you're just hating it,
Yeah.
you're hating on it, and it's
Yeah,
like, how do I say,
signifies is another one.
you
You're
know,
like, yeah,
and and it's like what I'm hoping. I mean, we'll take this where it goes because it's all in service to ethic of creating more life, of
sure.
course. But I mean, I personally don't see anything intrinsically or ideologically just absolutely important about E Prime. It's like, has it going to
Well,
help
right,
us?
exactly,
But I don't
exactly.
wonder if like your frustration and my frustration, it's almost like, well, we wouldn't have that frustration if we weren't using it.
Right, exactly.
So it's like our faces are being put into it, and it's
Yeah.
like, will we discover through it,
Right.
or will we go,
Yeah.
or and writing the old way? Yeah,
You know,
sure.
the main reason why I feel like I should continue to write in EPUB. I mean, at this point, I doubt that I will stop writing in it just because I've kind of made it a point to write in it,
Yeah.
especially like in the more philosophical stuff that I write. That's for the book that I
Hmm.
am
Hmm.
writing, and I want that book to have only E prime in it. I don't want any B English writing. Um, so I don't know if I'll wait until I'm done with all that stuff and then see, or I may end up rewriting a lot of chapters if I can figure out a way of breaking through those barriers that I have.
Did you come on my show just to plug your book?
Yeah.
What's
And
the name of your book again?
Born to Rewild.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's very.
I'm only
I
half.
like it.
I'm only half done with it, but yeah. But yeah, this signifies and involves, and a lot of it has to do with. I could say the same thing. How much time do we have here? Okay.
Yeah.
I could say the same thing. You know, it's
You
like
better than me.
we could rewrite the same sentence 5 different ways,
Mhm.
but I don't like the way any of those sound compared to the way it sounded with the verb to be, because especially with argumentative thought and philosophy, because our culture has such a obsession with I find it extremely difficult to write about those things with authority or with
Right.
You know, I mean that
Are
really
we
comes-
being weaselly because we're unwilling to take the kind of stand that this culture takes about things that we value and about things it wants to
Right.
kill? And we're being, well, you're telling your story, and I won't say how it is, and it's like,
right.
well, is that
To say like civilization is destroying the
Right,
planet, you know
right.
what I mean? Like concrete things, on
Well,
some level,
yeah.
on some level, like I think it would actually work to the advantage to leverage the be English against itself in that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To continue to use the verb to be
eat itself, yeah.
right, exactly. To say civilization is bad, or is not bad, but is destroying the planet. I mean, those kinds of things just ring in civilized people's ears more than like, well, I have observed civilization destroy the planet, or just civilization destroys the planet.
Mm-hmm.
That works too, you know what I mean? But there's just something like, and that's kind of a poor example because a lot of the stuff I'm working with now, are complex structured. It's just it's sentences with more complexity than such and such is this,
Yeah.
And it's just such a way that.
Right. It's a weapon. I mean, our language is a weapon,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, I guess that's what you're promoting, is
Right.
the loss of a weapon.
Yeah.
That this culture is
That's
used to
exactly
destroy
it.
the world.
That's exactly it. And on some level, also there's that's the structural problem that I have with it. That's the biggest hurdle in terms of how I don't quite understand how sentences work. And the second hurdle might have to do with that, but I honestly, like, just artistically, I don't think that E prime sounds as beautiful, or like that's kind of what I mean when I say, when I use to be words, I can actually get the point across of what I want better than when I'm using E prime, because but that might come in time. I might be able to artistically get where I want, or where I used to with E prime, but I think it's definitely going to have to take getting over like the structural hurdles.
Yeah.
Because I just don't.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned a few things to me too, where you're like, oh, you can switch these around and stuff like that, or I noticed that you do this a lot, and you're using this in a tense where you don't have to.
Right. That active versus passive.
I don't understand that stuff. So that, and at this point, you have to make a choice. Well, how much do I believe in it as a way, artistically, as a weapon, or blah blah blah. And I do believe that we can use civilization's weapons to dismantle civilization. So I have nothing against people who write in be English. I think it works beautifully, and I actually enjoy a lot of my own writing that I do in that. But it just comes to a point where I have to. It's a toss up for me, and I'm definitely going to have to think about it, and actually at some point feel more inspired to learn better sentence structures and tenses and things to if I really want to get past that hurdle.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I actually think this is this is it. This is where it either works or we try something else. Yeah. And thanks for telling me about your frustrations.
Thank you.
Urban Scout, everybody.
UrbanScout.org.
Oh, that's awesome.